Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about employment skills for success, which would be foundational skills. Now, when you think about foundation or foundational skills, I want you to think about basic skills. I want you to picture a house being built and the bottom layer, which is the foundation, which holds everything else up. So if you can get that in your mind and think about the basic skills that you would use that you would build on when you are young and you're preparing for life and work, careers, basic skills that you would need in life. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And our objectives are that we will understand the world of work and the skills needed for employment success, and that we'll understand the various skills needed for employment success. How can you be the best employee that you can be? So let's look at the next screen. So here we go. Let's talk about basic skills for life. I just mentioned about our basic skills or foundational skills. Foundational skills are what you build on. So, for example, the skills that are divided into three categories. So there are three categories, but today we're going to be talking about foundational skills. We're not really going to talk about so much workplace specific or transferable till later. And we have talked about transferable skills, if you remember that. If not, we're going to end up going back over that later on. But today it's just basic personal thinking skills. A few of these basic skills are the things that you're learning right now. You're learning about reading, writing, math, listening, and speaking. And I know some of you ask, why do I have to learn these things? Why are they so important? Because they give you a foundation for what you'll be doing later on. For example, reading. Reading is not just reading a passage and answering questions about it. It's gaining an understanding from that information so you can apply it later. And in work, it might be a manual, which is like notebooks or guides for doing your work. Think about your textbooks, graphs. Well, we don't have textbooks anymore, but books that would guide you along and tell you what to do. Graphs and schedules. If you were working, you're going to need to be able to read to follow that schedule. Just like the ones you get at the beginning of the school year that some of you are like, I don't understand what this means. You will eventually learn to be able to read that and understand it, and even create those schedules maybe yourself. In writing, it won't be so much creative writing as creating a document, typing a document, writing a letter, writing an email, making a report about what you've done, or creating a graph or a spreadsheet about the things that you're doing at work. We're really talking about how they apply to work. Um, Math, it doesn't matter what job you have, you're going to have to use some math techniques and skills in some way, shape, or form. One of the most important things, two of the most important things actually, are your listening skills. You're not just listening to hear yourself talk. You're not just listening to gain information. You're listening to understand what the other individual wants you to know. And so you can respond appropriately. You'll also need great speaking skills. No one wants to talk to someone that they cannot understand. So you need to practice those speaking skills. You're not going to talk how you text. You're going to use great speaking skills and practice those. And as you get into college, you'll likely have to take um, a public speaking class. I know some of you are afraid of getting up in front of others, but it's really not as hard as it seems. And so you need to learn to organize your ideas and communicate effectively. These are the things I like to talk to you about because I think they're so important. Are your personal qualities, your character, what other people see, usually their first impression of you. Are you responsible? Do you put forth a lot of effort and keep working even when things are difficult? Do you have high self esteem? Do you feel that you're worthy of what you have? Do you feel good about yourself? Do you have a positive attitude? You don't want to be too arrogant, but you do want to maintain an attitude that lets people know you're sure that you can complete a task. Are you sociable? I know many of you are. Sociability, you're understanding, you try to be understanding of others, you're friendly, you're flexible, um, you are willing to think about the other person and not just yourself, and you're polite in group settings. That really means that you have good etiquette and good manners. That is so very important. Self management means you have self control. Do you know when it's time for work and it's time for play? Um, that means that you're going to have to set some goals for yourself. Um, Maybe decide, each day what's important, what you have to get done. You have to monitor yourself, keep up with what you're what you're doing, how much you've gotten done that day, and like I said, use good self-control. Um, One of the most important is integrity and honesty. No one wants to work with a liar or a thief or someone who um, is just not going to tell the truth. So those things are your personal qualities. And if you put those with your other basic skills such as reading, writing, and math, you can see how you're really building um, a strong foundation for work. Now let's talk about thinking skills. Thinking skills are not just all out and out problem solving skills, but it's things like creativity. That doesn't mean you have to be good at arts and crafts or that you're um, you know, again, you're super artistic. It doesn't mean that. It means that you can come up with a fresh new idea, and it also means thinking skills are also decision making skills, that you can choose right from wrong, that you can pick the best choice, and really that you can kind of evaluate and decide which is the best choice. When you can look at your choices and decide if it's something you want to go with or something you want to leave behind. We've talked about problem solving. Um, that's pretty self-explanatory. You recognize that there is a problem sometimes, and then you have to come up with a plan to fix it. This one's different for you. You may not have ever heard this phrase, but it's seeing things in the mind's eye. I like to say, do you get the big picture? There's a bigger picture behind some things. And then I'm not talking about literally there's a picture. I mean, you're going to process things or understand things to get information. That one's a little trickier, but organizes, processes symbols, pictures, graphs, objects, and other information. Can you can you get what they're really asking you to do? Get in the big picture. Knowing how to learn, using efficient learning techniques to acquire and apply new knowledge and skills. To me, that's really taking what you know and building on it. You understand how you learn best, just like we've talked about with our learning styles. We've discussed that in length. Reasoning, again, making a choice, thinking about a rule, um, and the relationship between two things, and using that to solve a problem. So remember, your foundational skills are your basic skills for what you're going to need throughout your life to be able to function and to be successful. I have included in your work for this week the PowerPoint without me voicing over or talking over it. So you can use those to complete your work or questions for the week. If you have any questions, you can always email me message me through Google Classroom. And I hope you're successful with that. I hope you've had a great um, holiday break, and we're in a different time, but I feel like y'all are all being successful and doing a great job. And hopefully, we'll see you sooner than later. Take care.